Namaskar, my tribute to Rabindra Tagore. Rabindra Tagore, the great Indian saint. Introduction. Millions of children take birth daily in this world, and about 45,000 children are particularly born in India daily. They take birth, grow, play various roles at different stages of life, and ultimately a day comes when gradually they start losing their most dear organs of body one by one. With the passage of days and time, it comes when they ultimately leave this beautiful world, keeping behind all the near and dear ones, beautiful house, garden, furniture, bank balance, and everything. The journey from birth to death spans between 1 to 80 years, maximum 100 years in an average. Out of that average 80 years, childhood takes 10 years, and old age takes away nearly another 10 years, when normally people cannot engage in serious and creative works except a few. So generally 60 years is considered as the golden period in an average man's life. That is the time when a person actually plays in the vast field of the world. After that, our mortal body is either burnt or buried. With the cremation or burial act, we are eroded from the page of this world book. People forget us, even our children and grandchildren also, no doubt. All the people in the world are born to die. Nay, there are a few who are immortal, who never die. Death cannot touch them. Death cannot efface their names from this world's big book. Death cannot blot them out of this world. Rather, they radiate more and more, and their brilliance glitters with the passing of days, months, and years. There are some people who become greater, more respectful, and more adorable after their death. All depends on what type of work does a person do, what games does a man play, which activities a person is engaged in, what types of person he or she is, what kind of behavior he or she does during his or her lifetime, how much devotion he or she has in his or her work, how sincere he or she is in his or her profession, how much he or she has done for the welfare and development of other common poor and unprivileged people, how much good and how much good behavior and activities and words he delivered to the people, how much is he or she liberal and progressive in his thought and actions for the benefit of the people. Very few people in this world can work continuously and tirelessly with devotion. Most outside attractions distract their attention. It is really difficult for a person to keep on writing and creating in the midst of endless joy and even in sorrow. Other things that count are continuity, the thoughts and ideas or themes he is writing on, without bending on political patronage, political support, and without expecting any material gain from creation, are really praiseworthy and follow-worthy. But most of the poets and writers write with some explicit or implicit expectation, or with a particular aim in view, or to satisfy a particular person or party. Hence, their writings lost philosophical charm and intellectual maturity, and above all, impartiality. Besides, most of them are doing without reading much, without thinking much, without going deep into a problem of society and nature. As a result, most of the authors are not read more and more, and if read for say 50 years, they are forgotten after that. I find many scholars, professors, and writers are merely copying the materials or ideas. Instead of creating or innovating, they are just borrowing it from the Western thinkers. The copied or borrowed ideas with superfluous language are to die in no time. They do not deal with eternal truth, universal praise, and sustainable development, except a handful few. But Rabindranath Tagore was the one and only poet in India who lived, studied, and wrote differently on different subjects. He is the only poet in India who has kept such a tremendous impact after even 150 years of his birth on every aspect of life, from social to political, from economic to philosophical. He was an author, novelist, literature, painter, playwright, songwriter, singer, philosopher, artist, and a great educator. He reshaped Bengali literature and music with its profoundly sensitive, fresh, and beautiful verse. His poetry, in translation, was viewed as spiritual, and these, together with his mesmerizing persona, gave him a prophet-like aura in the West. Still, his elegant prose and magical poetry remain largely unknown outside in the world. In his Nobel Prize acceptance speech, he said, "I remember how my life's work developed from the time when I was very young. When I was about 25 years, I used to live in utmost seclusion in the solitude of an obscure Bengal village by the river Ganges. In a boathouse, the wild ducks, which came during the time of autumn from the Himalayan lakes, were my only living companions, and in that solitude I seemed to have drunk in the open space like wine overflowing with sunshine, and the murmur of the river used to speak to me and tell me the secrets of nature. And I passed my days in the solitude, dreaming and giving shape to my dream in poems and studies, and sending out my thoughts to the Calcutta public through the magazines and other papers. You can well understand that it was a life quite different from the life of the West. I do not know if any of your Western poets or writers do pass the greatest part of their young days in such absolute seclusion. I am almost certain that it cannot be possible, and that seclusion itself has no place in the Western world," he continued. "And my life went on like this. I was an obscure individual to most of my countrymen in those days. I mean that my name was hardly known outside my own province, but I was quite content with that obscurity which protected me from the curiosity of the crowds." I would like to conclude here because it's a big writing. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.